Good morning. This is Daily Spiritual Gossip. I'm sorry if you hear my fan. I have it on because it's really hot out here. And I wanted to do a little bit of spiritual gossip for you. And I'm pretty sure people have probably heard this or talked about this, but this video is mostly about this channel, because I have a separate channel which is Divine Solar Empress, which is all tarot. So I'm moving all my tarot to that channel, but this channel is more about Astro Theology, spirituality, just all of that stuff combined, and how Astro Theology is throughout all of our religion, our teaching, spirituality, just everything, our day-to-day lives, our movies, our music, just everything. And so I'm pretty much going to make this channel about just spiritual gossip and just, kind of like, what's the word? Or you could say spiritual news, whatever. But I want to talk today about how important astrotheology is in the Bible. And astrotheology is pretty much, astro obviously is, astrology and all that stuff, and how it really just ties into so much of our teachings. And one of the stories that I want to start off with, and I think people need to recognize, is there were so many fortune tellers and magicians in the Bible. So to demonize that, because I grew up Baptist, so it's seen as demonic and all this other stuff. But the truth of the matter is, one of the ultimate magicians was Daniel. That's how, because he was in captivity in Babylon. That's how he survived. That ultimately ended up saving his life in the lion's den. But I wanted to say, if people don't understand what I'm saying when I say astrotheology, when you look at, because I'm a huge believer in Egyptian society, Egyptian texts, and how a lot of that stuff was taken from the Egyptians and interpreted into the Bible and everything else. And if you look at the Old Testament, you see so much of what they got out of Egypt and what they put themselves into stories and all of that stuff surrounding that. In ancient Mesopotamia, all of those surrounding areas, these are ancient stories that were basically reinterpreted. I'm pretty sure people are realizing that now. If you haven't, hey, I was there too. So one of the things I really wanted to talk about was how there were so many astrologers and fortune tellers and just so many people in the Old Testament, especially in the ancient times, that were not looked at as bad. It was actually a job. I mean, it was a survival. They were magicians. They were astrologers. And I think one of the biggest examples was Daniel. I mean, next to, of course, the Ascended Master, Christ, you guys call him Christ. In Egyptian society, we say Horus. But, Daniel is one of the biggest examples, and I really kind of want to get on that point of, kind of the spiritual gossip. Is Daniel was a magician. He was an astrologer. And that's what it speaks about. And one verse I really want to go to, which pretty much lays it out. And if you don't know about Daniel in the Bible, he's the magician that survived the lion's den. There's a lot of stories, biblical stories, about him surviving the lion's den. He was the son of King David. The Bible verse, because I wrote down the Bible verse, I wanted to make sure I wrote down a few, but the main one that drives home is Daniel 5:11. There is a man in your kingdom in whom is the spirit of the holy God, and in those days of your father, light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of gods, we found in him. And King Nebuchadnezzar, your father the king, made him chief of the magicians, magicians, astrologers, and Chaldeans and soothsayers. Okay, so he was able to, in as much as the excellent spirit, knowledge, understanding, interpreting dreams, solving riddles, and explaining the igmas, and sorry, we found in Daniel. So basically, he was a dream interpreter. He was a magician. He was an astrologer. That's the same thing I am. All of those people back then, when we do tarot, you know, a lot of us who are really into, you know, astrology as far as planets and everything else, it's the same thing. But I think we need to start to awaken people that really the spiritual gossip is, a lot of those people, they existed then, and you look up to them. They're made Bible stories about them, and they're not demonized. So I think we need to kind of get out of that mindset of that. And I just wanted to touch on Daniel today. It's not going to be a very long video, but to me, I think we should give some type of, you know, understanding to a lot of the magicians, like I said, and astrologers. And it's very important, especially in the Old Testament, of how they survived with those gifts. Just like some of us are surviving now with going into tarot and other things that we do, as far as, like, you know, our gifts. And, you know, so I just wanted to get into that and explain that there were so many magicians in the Bible, and so many, you know, astrologers, soothsayers, whatever terms they want to use. You can definitely Google the terms and you'll see that it's all the same. So, you know, I think that is very, very important. Let me do, I think it was Daniel 4 and 7. I want to make sure I did that one too. I wrote down the, yeah. Then the magicians and the astrologers and the Chaldeans and the soothsayers came in. I told them the dream, but they did not make known to me its interpretation. Basically, he told them the dream, but they couldn't interpret it. This is the key. They couldn't interpret the dream. Daniel could. So I think we need to stop demonizing a lot of that when it's so much in our text. Like I said, Astro Theology is all of everything that we're a part of. And a lot of the society that we're in now that's the worship you're seeing, especially with the Saturn worship that so many people are seeing now. And maybe they're not fully understanding that a lot of this is Saturn worship. It really is. Even the Yahweh of this book is Saturn. It's Saturn worship. So I'll get into that a little bit more. But and also I have this amazing book. I just want to show this book since I'm going to cut this video short. It's called The Saturn Myths. And it's just really an amazing book. It was like $80 for this, but anyway. But it's really about so much of what Saturn is and the myths, and how so many things are interpreted, and it just goes into you know, Egyptian society, what it is, and Saturn. You know what I mean? And it's amazing. It's amazing. And it's by David N. Talbert. I don't know. I got it on Amazon. But anyway. But so much of what we see is literally Saturn worship. And like I said, the God that they speak of in this Bible is really Saturn. Yahweh. It's a Saturn worship deity. And then you can get into Enki and Enlil and all that stuff. It's pretty much the same. But I really just wanted to give a prime example of Daniel being one of the ultimate magicians. And you know, of course there's more, but I'm saying that story is literally him being a magician and a fortune teller, interpreter. It literally saved his life. It did. And I know there's so many readers on here who've been making a living just off of that. The gifted ones that are making a living off of that, and it literally is saving their lives. It's their livelihood. So I just want to say Daniel is a prime example of that. So I think we should put a little more respect on that, especially magicians fortune tellers, soothsayers, whatever term you want to use, astrologers, because that's really what it's astro theology. Is so much of this Bible is astro theology, and a lot of them in here were putting curses on people. Let's be honest, a lot of it was magic, turning water into wine, magic. So there's a lot of that in there, and it also speaks about Orion, and I'm going to do another video about Orion, how it speaks about astrology so much in the Bible, and you know, the 12 disciples, you know, and that really just being, you know, your birth chart. That's why you have the 12 months, and and also with Joseph, I'm going to do one about Joseph as well, about the magical code, really just being your chakras. So there's so much of it that is really just, it's all tied into spirituality, it's all tied into astrotheology and everything else. But this video, I'm going to cut it short, and it's mostly about Daniel, the magician, and, you know, a fortune teller, and it saved his life. So that really is a spiritual gossip. That saved his life, because what he was able to do really got him out of captivity, and of course it helped him in the lion's den, his gifts. So, all right, daily spiritual gossip, and this is my video about Daniel. Take care. Like, subscribe, and definitely share the video.